And welcome to Scott Speaking Sports Today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back by myself again today. My dad's at work. Let's get into my mock draft for the NFL draft that starts tonight. It should be a very unexpected night. Not a lot of people know where all these guys are going to go, but let's get out. Let's get into the draft right now. So with the first pick overall, the Jacksonville Jaguars are having the first pick for the second straight year. And I think they're going to go with Trayvon Walker out of Georgia. I think he is the best player available. He might not be the best player, but I've seen too many rumors that he's going number one, so I'm gonna go with him at number one overall to Jacksonville. Number two overall, a lot of people are saying that the Lions aren't even gonna wait for Roger Goodell to say the name of Trayvon Walker before they lock in number two, and that'll be Aiden Hutchinson out of Michigan. What probably the biggest surprising player in college football last season, made it all the way to the Heisman Trophy last year. He was one of the finalists for the Heisman Trophy last year. Very impressive. So I think that's where they'll go in number two. Number three, the Houston Texans are up. Could go a few ways here, but I'm going to go with Derek Stingley out of LSU. I think he's one of the best corners in the draft. Might not be the top corner on most people's board, but I think the Texans like him a little bit better than they do the other corners, so I think they'll go with him at three. Number four, the New York Jets are on the clock. They're going to go with Ike Ekwonu out of NC State, the first tackle off the board in this draft. I see three straight tackles going, and I think he's the first of three to go in back-to-back-to-back picks. Number five overall, the New York Giants are on the clock, and I think they're going to go with Charles Cross out of Mississippi State. I think he's a very good player, and I think the Giants and the Panthers both want him. So unfortunately, the Giants have an earlier pick than the Panthers do. They're at five. The Panthers are at six, so I think the Giants are going to take the guy that they want at five, and then lead the Panthers at six with the last of the tackles available, and that'll be Evan Neal out of Alabama. I think he's the last of the big three offensive tackles in this draft, so I think he'll go number six. Back on the clock, number seven, the New York Giants are back on the clock with two first-round picks this year. I think they're going to go with Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati. I think he's, in most people's opinion, the top corner in the draft, but I don't think he's first corner taken. I think a lot of people want to see this LSU kid because he played against tougher competition at LSU than Sauce Gardner did at Cincinnati. So I think he'll go number seven. Number eight, the Atlanta Falcons have their first round pick here. If this is not a receiver, I'll be really surprised. I think it's going to be Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State. They have no receivers right now. The only best receiver they have right now is Kyle Pitts. So they need a receiver to help out Marcus Mariota out there in Atlanta. So I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson at number eight. Number nine overall, the Seattle Seahawks are on the clock. First draft without Russell Wilson this year for Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks. And then they're going to go Kayvon Thibodeau out of Oregon. A lot of people's number one overall pick before college football season started. I think the injury that he had at Oregon kind of hurts him a little bit, but he'll go number 9 overall to Seattle. Number 10 overall, the New York Jets with their second first-round pick. Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State, I think he's going to be the pick. They need help they need a pass rush. So I think he's the next best pass rusher on the board. So I'll take him at number 10. Number 11, the Washington Commanders are on the clock. Could be a receiver here, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame, the safety. I think they're in need of a safety in Washington, so I think that's where they'll go at number 11. Number 12, the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock, and they're going to go with Trent McDuffie out of Washington. I think he is the next best cornerback on the board, so I think they'll go with him at number 12. Next up, number 13 overall, the Houston Texans are on the clock with their second first-round pick. I think they're going to go with Jordan Davis out of Georgia, defensive tackle. I think he's the next best player on the board, so I think they'll go with him at number 13. Number 14 overall, the Baltimore Ravens. Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa. I think he's going to be the pick here at number 14. I think they need to protect Lamar Jackson and not make him as much of a running quarterback as he has been the last couple of years. So I think that's where they go at number 14 overall. Number 15 overall, the Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock, and they're going to trade up, in my opinion, to get Jamison Williams out of Alabama. And I know he just tore his ACL back in January in the national championship game, but I don't believe that the Eagles are going to be scared about that. So I think they're going to take him at number 15. Number 16 overall, the New Orleans Saints are on the clock, and I think they're going to go with Drake London out of USC. Might be the second best receiver in this draft, but we'll see what happens with him in the draft tonight. Number 17, the LA Chargers are on the clock. My buddy Kyle Hymas was telling me last night he wants a offensive tackle. So I think that's where they're going to go here with Bernard Raymond out of Central Michigan. I think he is the next best offensive lineman on the board. So I think that's where they'll go with 17. Number 18 overall, the Philadelphia Eagles are on the clock again. And unfortunately, Bucs fans, I think they're going to take the guy that I think most of us wanted, number 27. That'd be Devontae Wyatt out of Georgia. I think he's the next best player available, and unfortunately, I don't think he falls to the Bucs at 18. Number 19, the New Orleans Saints are back on the clock again with their second first-round pick that they traded with Philadelphia for. And they're going to go with Zion Johnson out of Boston College. Next best offensive lineman on the board. You got to protect Jameis Winston this year. If you want him to be a solid quarterback, you got to give him time to throw the ball. So I think they're going to take him at 19. Number 20 overall, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on the clock next. And I think they're going to take the first quarterback in the draft, and Malik Willis out of Liberty. I think he's the best quarterback in this draft. I would not be surprised to see Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers trade up to get Malik Willis into the top 15 picks to get him in the draft. Next up, number 21, Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots are on the clock next. You never know what Bill Belichick's going to do in the draft. I think they're going to take Devin Lloyd out of Utah, the first linebacker of the draft. I think he's the first linebacker that you see on the board here, and I think he's going to be the first linebacker taken out in the draft. Number 22, the Green Bay Packers are on the clock, and Aaron Rodgers is desperately in need of a receiver. And I think Brian Gutekunst will finally listen to his star quarterback, and he's going to take the wide receiver out of Ohio State, Chris Olave. I think he's the next best receiver in this draft. I think he's going to go number 22 overall to Green Bay. Next up, number 23, the Arizona Cardinals, who just gave Kyler Murray his fifth-year extension. So didn't get paid this year in the offseason. I thought he was going to leave if he didn't get paid. They're going to try Jacoby Dean out of Georgia. I think he's the next linebacker on the board. And I think he'll go number 23 overall to the Arizona Cardinals. Next up, number 24 overall, the Dallas Cowboys, after losing to the Niners in the playoffs last year, will take Tyler Smith out of Tulsa. I think he's the next best offensive lineman in this draft. So I think that's where they'll go at number 24 overall. Number 25 overall, the Buffalo Bills are on the clock next. Could be a running back here. I think they could take Breece Hall out of Iowa State. But for me, I don't think he's first-round talent worthy. So I'm going to take Daxton Hill out of Michigan. I think he's a guy that can play both safety and corner. So I'm going to go with him at 25 overall to the Buffalo Bills. Number 26 overall, the Tennessee Titans are on the clock next. A lot of people are saying they might take a quarterback here to replace Ryan Tannehill after that horrible game he had against the Bengals last year in the playoffs. But I think they're going to give him some more receivers, and they're going to take Traylon Burks out of Arkansas. I think he's the next best receiver on this board, and I think they'll take him at 26. Next up, number 27, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock next at 27. I think they're going to take the last offensive lineman in the draft, and that'll be Kenyon Green out of, out of Texas A&M. I think he's the next best player on the board for us to take here. I could see us go with a pass rusher, but I think with a 35-year-old quarterback in Tom Brady this year, you got to protect him. And I think that's what they'll do this year in the draft. Next up, number 28 overall, the Green Bay Packers are on the clock next. And they're going to take George Karlaftis out of Purdue. I think Mel Kiper was saying this guy's draft stock has fallen really far. He was potentially the number one pick going into the college football season this year, but his draft stock has fallen a lot since then. Number 29 overall, the Kansas City Chiefs are on the clock next. Definitely a receiver here. I think it's going to be Jahan Dotson out of Penn State. I think he's the next best receiver. I would not be shocked to see it be George Pickens out of Georgia here. A little bit of a faster guy to replace Tyreek Hill. But I think they're going to stay with the best receiver available and take Jahan Dotson out of Penn State. Number 30 overall, again, the Kansas City Chiefs have back-to-back picks, and I think they're going to take Arnold Ebiketie out of Penn State, back-to-back Penn State guys for Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're going to take both of them. I think both of these guys could go a little earlier too, so we'll see what happens with them. Number 31 overall, the AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock next. They'll take Andrew Booth out of Clemson, probably the next best quarterback on the board. Really tall, lengthy guy. I wouldn't be shocked to see the Bucks take him because Todd Bowles loves those long, lengthy corners in his system. Number 32 overall, the Detroit Lions have another first-round pick after the trade that they made for Matthew Stafford back at last offseason. And they're going to take the second quarterback on the board, Kenny Pickett, out of Pitt. That'll do it, and that'll be the last pick of the first round. And that'll do it for this episode of Scott Speaking Sports Day, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's going to be a fun night, very unexpected. We'll see what happens, and we'll see you guys right back here whenever I post again on Scott Speaking Sports. See you later, guys.